Hi, this is Amber. Now we're going to focus on Adobe Spark Video. This is a super easy way to create video content from still images, icons, text, narration, and even other videos. So let's take a look at how easy this is. So when you're logged into the Adobe Spark site and you go over to the blue circle with the plus sign in it, you're going to locate video. So I'm going to go ahead and click video. When you first open a video, you're going to get this little prompt that asks you a few questions. Now you're welcome to go through this, but you can also click skip. Usually the first time I do this with students, I have them go through this so they can really think about it. So I'll go through it with you, but I want you to know that you can skip this process. So the first thing is you're going to want to give a title to your video. So that's what is typed into this first box. So I've typed in all about reptiles as my title. So I'm going to click in next. Now what it gives you is the opportunity to pick a story template. So a couple of the things that are here are story templates that might give you some ideas of some other projects you can do. So there's promotional ideas, there's a retelling, there's a hero's journey, which is kind of a way to show the life of one person. There's a show and tell, which is basically what you want to do if you're doing some kind of research project and you want to tell what you've learned. Personal growth story, teaching a lesson, and then you've got an invitation, something that's coming up you want to spark someone's interest about, or make up your own. So if you do those give you sort of ideas. So for example, if I were picking this as show and tell, I would hover over it and choose pick this one. Now what it does, if you pick a template for video, it's going to give you some things that you can just fill in. So first of all, you're always going to see this quick tutorial that's there, but you'll notice how since I chose this about show and tell, what is it, why is it, and it gives me some little tips on what to say. Now, this is great if you need this in order to be successful in creating a video. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go create a video and I'm going to skip the first question because I want to show you what you can do to start from scratch. So I'm going to skip and start from scratch. So once you start from scratch and you learn how to do this without any templates or tools, it actually is easier for you. So again, you'll always see the quick tips to get started. You can click don't show this tutorial if you want, but I'm going to leave this here. And what I want you to notice in my presentation here is you automatically are given a cover image, which is your first image. You're given a credits page, and you're given an outro page, which is the very ending. Then you're also given the plus sign so you can keep adding slides to this. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of talk about the interface of the video tool, and then we're going to practice adding some content. So I want to start at the top. You'll notice you have a preview button, so you can always view it as your viewers or participants would view it in the non-edit mode. You have the ability to share, and that's publish and invite. Remember, publish is where you're going to go to get a URL so that you can invite people to watch it. And adding a person is adding a collaborator. The same thing holds true with video as it did for pages. When you add a collaborator, you can't simultaneously be working on your project together. You'll have to kind of arrange when one is working, so it's asynchronous collaboration, but that is there. You also have the ability to download your project, and you'll notice it prepares it for you. I'm going to go ahead and close it because I don't really have anything, but it prepares it for you and puts it into an MP4 format so that it will work on most players. And again, then you have the button that you can add collaborators. Further over to the right, you'll see a submenu. And these submenus include layout, theme, resize, and music. In the layout portion, this is, I want you to sort of think as video as slides. So each one of these little boxes at the bottom is sort of like a new slide, and each of those slides can have different formats or different layouts. So for my very first layout, I really want this to be the title. So for this first one, I'm going to choose title and text, and it automatically gives me a title box and then some text. So I'm going to go ahead and put my title in here. Then I'm going to add my subtitle. What you'll notice is when I click on something to edit it, you do have the ability to shrink your text or enlarge your text. So this gives you some ability to change the size of your font. So on a title page, I'm only going to be able to put your title and your text. Now there is, however, something at the top left-hand corner that tells me that I can either put a video behind this or photo. So if I had a video that I wanted to put behind this that I had recorded and I had saved somewhere, I could use that. So if I click on video, you'll notice it checks my machine for videos. So this would be a video that you had taken on another device and had saved it to your computer. Photo is very much like Pages in that you're going to see this upload photo, you're going to be able to find free photos in Unsplash, and you're going to be able to look in your Google Drive. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go to find free videos, and I'm going to do my reptiles search like I did before so that I can find something to put my title on. I'm going to go ahead and pick this little guy here, all about reptiles. And so now the image is behind it and it's loading, and you'll notice once it's loaded, you're going to have a pencil in the top right hand corner so that you can actually do some editing of your video. So now that my image is loaded, when I click on it, I have the ability to click on the pencil and I can zoom in if I want to change the zoom level, and I think I will. I think I'll zoom in. But you also have the ability on the left to change it to a video or delete it. So this is going to be behind my title. Now, if you've ever worked with video editing software before, you'll know that it's sometimes tricky to figure out how to pair narration with images or video. The easiest part of Adobe Spark Video is that at each move to a new slide is basically however long you're speaking on that slide. So I could add my voice to this slide. You'll notice right now it's only going to stay on for 4 seconds if I don't do anything, which is fine, or I could put my voice behind it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to use this narration tool and click on the little microphone icon. So what I'm going to do is you'll notice it says press and hold while speaking. Hi, this is Amber Garvey. Join me for this presentation all about reptiles. So now what you'll see is it's going to be on for 7 seconds. And if I want to play it, hi, this is Amber Garvey. Join me for this presentation all about reptiles. So you notice it stayed on as long as I wanted it to. And if I were to press and record this again, it would delete my recording. So you can record it and do it as many times as you need to. So that's going to be my first slide. So now I'm going to want to bring in a second slide. So it added my second slide. Now the first thing I want to decide is go over to layout. Do I want this to be full screen? Do I want to split the screen, or do I want to do a caption? If I want something full screen, it's going to take up the entire screen. So I may want to put an image in the back or a video. So here again, if I had a video, I could pull that in, or a photo. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in another photo. So I'll pull in our turtle here. And then in the middle of my image, since I have it here, I can click that little plus sign and I can add text on top. So this becomes a backdrop for what it is that I want to say. So I'm going to click on text, and you'll notice that it gives me a blinking cursor so I can start typing my text. So now that I have my text, when you click on it, you have the ability to decrease the size or increase the size, as well as delete. One of the things I can do on this slide is also click the red record button and record my audio. You can do this on every one of your slides. Again, the slide will be as long as your recorded narration. If not, you can click and make it longer even if you don't add any narration if you want it to be on that screen longer. So now I'm going to add a new slide. And in this slide, I can go over to layout, or I can simply choose to add video, text, a photo, or an icon. To show you how to use layouts, I'm going to now go to split screen. Split screen is very similar to something that you saw in Pages in that one thing can go on the left and one thing can go on the right. On the left, I can put either of these 4 items, a video, some text, a photo, or an icon. So just for fun, I'm going to go to icons, and I want to show you that you can use the same search for icons. So if I wanted to give more information about turtles, but I wanted to use an icon instead, I can simply click an icon. It puts your icon into the page, again with that information button so that it basically says where that comes from. And then on the right, I could choose to put some text. Once you put in your text, again, you can increase or decrease the size of your font. You also can use the button in the center to swap items from left to right and right to left. Again, I can decide if I would like to add narration to this slide. Now let's add another slide, and this time let's use the Caption Tool. For the Caption Tool, you can add a video, photo, or icon, and then underneath it you have a plus sign for a caption. So I'm going to choose another photo, and then I can click the plus sign and add my caption because I used the caption layout. When you use the caption layout, you again can decrease or increase your font, as well as click on the image and make changes. When you click on the icon on the top right, you're able to zoom in or zoom out of your image. The icons on the left allow you to change from video, icon, delete, or change your photo. Again, to each one of these slides, I could add narration. I'm going to add another slide, and this time instead of going to any layouts, we're going to look at what you can do on a plain slide. In a plain slide, you can add any of these elements directly to the slide. When you add a video, you'll click on the video you want to add, and then you'll be provided with an edit button. You can choose how long or how short you want your video to be. So this is a great way to just add a little clip of a single video. So I'm going to pull this over and make this a really short clip. And however long your clip is, you'll notice that my numbers are changing. So if I wanted to add just 8 seconds of this clip, then I can click Save. And it's only going to pull in that one little clip of my video. So this is a great way of taking videos that are longer and shortening them into a little clip to put in another video. So now you'll see I have my All About Reptiles. I have some narration there, I can tell. This one does not have narration, but I can see the ones that do have narration, and there's the one with my video. You'll notice even though I have a video behind there, I still have the ability to add some text on top or even an icon. So you do still have some layering ability while you're there. Now on my credits slide, you'll notice it's building itself because all of the images that I've put in, it actually has already listed those for Unsplash. But at the top, you can add your own credits. So for this video that I pulled in, I would need to give credit to where I got that video from. Or if I've pulled any photographs in that some friends have taken or that I've taken, I'll want to provide credit there as well. And then our outro is going to have any information in it that we want it to have. So you're going to keep adding these slides, adding your narration, adding your text, your icons, your images, and your video. And then what you'll notice is next to layout, you'll see theme. Theme is very similar to what we saw in Pages in that it changes it for your entire project. It changes your font as well as your color choices. So if I wanted this to be, I'm going to choose this green one because it reminds me of reptiles. You'll notice you can hover over a theme and you'll get a preview of what the transitions look like and what the colors look like. But you also, when you choose one, will have some sub colors. So I can kind of change and see what each of the guys look like. So if I choose one of this with my captions on, I can see that that's where this color is coming from. So I can choose, oh, I think I'm going to leave it green because I think that looks a little more reptilian. So now I can kind of look through and see what that color does. So you can do that color on your presentation. So that is what themes are. So as I'm finishing up, when I go to resize, you can also decide if you want your project to be widescreen, which is really recommended for video, but you can also do square if you would like square. I always recommend using widescreen because if you do upload it to something that only takes square, it's going to crop it anyway. So you might as well put it in widescreen so you can use it on a variety of devices. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that I've always had this play button underneath the slide. Each of the slides you can play by just clicking the play button that's under the slide, but you also have the play button here where you can see the whole thing. So what I want you to notice when I click play is what you hear in the background. Actually, I'll click on this one so you can see. I didn't record narration, but there's still sound. So you hear music. Well, if you click on the music tab, you'll notice music being on is a default. So if you don't want music, you're going to have to come here and toggle that on. But it's mood music. It kind of plays in the background so that your voice is still going to be on top of that music. So for example, when I go to All About Reptiles and I did record my voice, you'll hear when I click play that you'll hear my voice on top of the music. So I'm going to go ahead and click play so you can hear that. Hi, this is Amber Garvey. Join me for this presentation all about reptiles. So you hear there's a little music. Now there are different types of music and all the music that comes into Adobe Spark Video. This is all copyright-free music, and what it does is it would play through the whole thing, and when you get to the last slide, it actually ends it, so it sounds like an actual intro and outro situation. So that's something that's really cool, and you can find ones that you think would work better. So I can decide what I want to use by just clicking on the right and listening. For example, Leapfrog sounds a little appropriate. So you can click and listen to the different choices, and there is the ability to add your own music. If you do add music, it has to be music you have on your device. So our recommendation always is that you use the music that's in Adobe Spark so you don't have to worry about copyright. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Leapfrog for mine, and what it does is it will arrange it so that it starts in the beginning and ends at the end. And if you find a slide you don't want, like I don't really need this outro slide, I can click on the little three dots and hide that so that all I have here, my very last one, is going to be my works cited or my credit slide. So when you are finished and you want to preview it, then you can click on preview and watch it as your participants would. I do want to note, however, that you can change the volume of your music here if it's a little too soft for what you would like, or if the ratio of voice to music is a little off, you can decrease and increase it there. So once you're finished, you're going to want to preview your project. Hi, this is Amber Garvey. Join me for this presentation all about reptiles. Now I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I did want to show you how that works. When you're finished, again, you'll go to Share and Publish. You'll give it a title, a subtitle, decide if you want the author to show or not, and decide if you want it to possibly be featured on Adobe Spark's website or not. This looks exactly like what it did for Pages, where you pick your education category. Then you're going to want to create your link. So I'm going to click Create Link. It does take a little bit of time to process the video because it's actually creating that video for you with the narration, the music, all the text, all the images, and all the video. So this might take a little bit of time, especially depending on how long your video is. So when it's finished, it'll look just like it did in Pages, where you can just copy the link, or you can also post to Classroom. If you're a teacher, you can post it as an assignment. If you're a student, you can post it to an assignment. Lots of different ways. When that video is copied, I do want to show you just on another tab what that looks like. When you first post it, it might say it takes a minute or two to process it, but you get this lovely white play window, and all the person has to do is click play, and then they can send you appreciation by liking it, and they can also share it on social media. So this is a great way to create a project in a very easy way with just images, video, text, some icons, and your narration, and a little bit of music and flair. You can, in a few minutes, make a really cool presentation that's easy to do. So that's Adobe Spark Video.